Hi, the introverted cynist here. Today, I am going to explain a 2020 Spanish horror drama film titled Don't Listen. Warning, spoilers ahead. Kick back and take care. The movie begins with a bird's eye view of a dirty swimming pool, where we see a man using a skimmer net to secure a ball from the pool. The swimming pool is situated adjacent to a newly occupied home. The man's name is Daniel. He and his wife, Sarah, are professional renovators. They usually buy a home first, renovate it and then sell it at a profit. The couple have a beautiful son named Eric. The trio have moved into the new home and have started their business. Lately, they have noticed that Eric is not being able to sleep well and thinks it could be due to moving and missing old friends. They become apprehensive and decide to get a psychologist to counsel him. After her arrival, she starts to unfold his story. She tries to navigate his problem, but she slightly gets alarmed when he says that he has been hearing voices around him other than his parents in the new home. She now meets the concerned parents and informs them that Eric has a good imagination and is perfectly normal and assures them nothing is serious. Meanwhile, a fly from the pipeline is shown from the new home buzzing. Eric now watches her drive off. Just then, he gets a transmission from an unknown entity. While driving, the radio transmission starts to change and produce static. The fly from the home starts to interrupt her, making her distract. The fly now gets inside her ear, making her helpless and riled up. Concurrently, Eric is seen busy drawing a picture. The woman's eyes suddenly becomes puffy and bloodshot, indicating that she is being possessed and controlled. She now slowly increases the speed of her car, resulting in a crash. Eric, after completing his drawing, hangs it up the wall. The picture portrays a blood-dripping wood branch. The scene now, ironically, shows the branch of a tree severely pierced into the woman's face, killing her slowly, with the fly flying away. At their new home, Daniel, while working, notices a fly-infested nest on a wall and gets pissed off. While spraying the nest with a repellent, he gets a call from his son through the transceiver and summons him to the pool. He was called to retrieve the ball that fell into the pool. Daniel now says Eric has done the right thing to call him for help instead of taking matters into his own hands. He then casually says to always keep distance from the pool. Eric now gets called by Sarah to take a shower. While playing in the tub, Eric notices an unknown creepy voice whispering to him, saying that his dad hates him and all such negative rhetoric. Just then, Sarah enters the bathroom. Suddenly the voices disappear. Eric, now disturbed, inquires about it with his mother, which makes her surprised. She quickly assures him that there is no ill will against him from his dad and kisses him. Later that night, Daniel is watching a program on a paranormal expert, German, about the release of his new book and his life experiences with electronic voice phenomena. He then adds, EVPs are voices from spirits and is real and can be found at places with great suffering and misery. Sarah then casually asks Daniel if he has shouted at Eric, to which he says no. Seeing Sarah still worried, Daniel assures her that even the psychologist says that he is fine and will eventually be all right after he gets a friend at school comforting her. After midnight, Daniel is woken up due to the noise of the pool gate and decides to lock it. Just then, Eric also wakes up due to the whisper from the transceiver. After getting back, Daniel becomes troubled after hearing Eric's voice coming from the transceiver at this point of time, while being watched by an unknown entity behind him. Eric, while listening to the voices, gets startled when his robot toy gets switched on automatically. After fetching it, he notices a pair of rotten feet beside him and starts panting. After hearing the whisper again, he quickly runs to his bed and puts the sheet over him and starts to ignore it. After some time, the whispers have subsided. Suddenly, a hand tries to suffocate him inside, but just then, Daniel arrives to check up on Eric. Eric pushes Daniel, thinking it was the ghost. Daniel now tries to hug him and calms him down. Sarah, hearing the commotion, comforts him, saying it was a nightmare. Sarah now points out that Daniel's palm is bleeding and realizes it was due to the push. Next day, while working with his wounded palm, he notices the nest is still persevering. Daniel is met with bad news that Eric has been expelled from school. Sarah furiously says that Eric ran away from the class and hid in a closet and bit the principal when he tried to get him. She then orders Eric that the psychologist will be visiting him every day. But Eric suddenly says that the doctor is dead, frightening the couple. Daniel, now concerned, asks him from where he heard this, to which Eric says his voices informed him. Daniel now advises Eric to do homework and rest. Later on, after calling up the doctor, Daniel becomes dumbstruck after learning about the news of the doctor's tragic death. Sarah hopelessly asks as to how Eric knew about it. Daniel says Eric could have heard it from someone in school, giving her an uncertain answer. At 2:37 a.m., Eric starts drawing again while listening to the transceiver and hangs it up on the wall. Meanwhile, Sarah is woken up by the noise of the pool gate and wakes Daniel to take care of it. After walking down the stairs, Daniel becomes shocked to see the front door wide open. After looking inside, he gets hold of a double-barrel gun while anxiously hearing someone humming. Daniel asks who it is, accidentally waking Sarah, and steps outside. Sarah now enters Eric's room, but she cannot find him anywhere. Daniel now finds Eric's pajamas on the steps and shouts out loud for Eric, alerting Sarah. After frantically looking around for Eric, he now rushes to the pool and finds Eric floating in the water. Sarah now witnesses Daniel with their son, motionless on his arms. The couple now breaks down crying, with someone watching them from above at the same time. Next day, after cremating Eric, Sarah is seen sobbing, while Daniel is seen in Eric's room, sadly embracing his bedsheet. While packing her luggage, she notices a drop of blood on Daniel's pillow. Sarah says that she needs a change of venue and asks Daniel to accompany her. But Daniel reminds her that they have invested all of their money in this house and cannot come anywhere until the work and sale is done. She then bids him farewell and drives off. Later that night, Daniel, while watching his son's previous videos, gets emotional and gives Sarah a voice clip saying that he is sorry for behaving rudely with her earlier. Just then, he vaguely hears a voice through the transceiver and then ignores it. The following morning, his concerned wife calls him up for the weird voices he sent the night before. Daniel gets confused and informs her it could be the weak signal and hangs up. While listening to the voice clip again, he gets unsettled after vaguely hearing his dead son yelling for help. He then plays the audio clip in his laptop to confirm and becomes extremely horrified and devastated. Later at an event, we are introduced to German signing his new book, dedicated to his late wife, for his fans. A skeptic Daniel starts asking questions whether he is a fraud and the authenticity of EVPs. German calmly says that he has written 10 books on EVPs and has spent a long time on research. Daniel then requests German to listen to an audio and discloses about his ordeal and his son's death. After a while of discussion, German agrees. German accompanies his daughter, Ruth, to Daniel's haunted home. Ruth is unconvinced about the whole situation and is in denial. After setting up the thermal imaging cameras and other equipment, they start their investigation without wasting time. After a while of scanning the room for any invisible entities, Ruth gets a reading of a person, and she immediately chastises her dad to make Daniel move from the room. But German says that Daniel is not present in the room and says he is sitting on the bench outside. Ruth, now concerned, switches the thermal image and finds nobody in the room and guides German to the room next door. He now starts to get a reading from the room, but before he could hear anything relevant, a loud shrieking voice breaks out, making him petrified. The trio, after closely observing the images, gets convinced. The following night, after everyone's asleep, German wakes up to a nightmare and becomes spooked. He then starts following a voice and witnesses his wife, Sophia, in the kitchen. She then hugs and kisses him. German, now in disbelief, gets lured in. She now slowly starts cutting his hand. Just then Ruth snaps him out of the trance, where we see German cutting his hand himself. She then takes care of German without much complications. Meanwhile, Sarah gets a call from an unknown number and becomes overwhelmed with emotion after hearing her son's voice. Eric now informs Sarah that Dad has brought an unknown man who is hurting him and is hiding in his bed, and hangs up. Next day, Ruth becomes terrified after witnessing a group of cats hung on a tree. Daniel and German, now clueless while burying the cats, gets encountered with Sarah. Sarah becomes outraged and goes back to Eric's room. German makes a breakthrough after finding a picture of the same incident and starts explaining the details to Daniel and Ruth. The incident is actually a threat used in the Middle Ages to warn outsiders who crossed a witch's territory. 300 years ago, the house served as a court for the Holy Inquisition to torture and murder innocent women who they believed to be witches. Suddenly, a corpse of Sarah bashes in through the window, scaring everyone. Daniel becomes petrified seeing it and starts moaning helplessly while the fly flies away. After hopelessly watching Sarah's corpse being taken away, German while finding answers, gets into a quarrel with Ruth about his safety. German says that he can't leave Daniel without solving his problem, making Ruth walk away. Later on, Daniel starts blaming himself and says that he is alone. German, while consoling him, reveals a photo and says that the bodies of the witches could be hidden under their feet. Daniel now says that he knows a way to get there. After breaking down the wall, the trio now witness a passage filled with ancient torture equipment. After seeing the dead and decayed body of the witch in a cage, German says, during the Holy Inquisition, in order for the punishment to fit the crime, if the offense was blasphemy, lying or manipulation, torture was inflicted in the victim's mouth so that the offense won't be committed again. German, after touching the cage, gets a glimpse into the past. He then informs, according to tradition, you can only destroy a witch with fire. Daniel, now in the garage, hands German a can of kerosene and instructs him that he might need more. Later, German now requests Ruth not to come down to the basement as it is dangerous and he cannot lose his daughter. With much hesitation, Ruth agrees. In the basement, German, now alone, while carefully approaching the cage, gets a vision of how the witches were tortured and gets disgusted by the sight. Just then, German's torch started flickering. Suddenly the witch jump scares him. Hearing this, Ruth starts to call her dad, but she starts to hear a voice from behind, which happens to be her dead mother. Ruth, now emotional, gets invited to hug her, but she refuses, knowing that her mother is dead. Sophia starts walking towards Ruth and disappears in the shadows. Ruth, while searching for her, gets encountered with the witch, making her fall down. Ruth, now shaken, is seen holding a paper cutter, while the witch slowly starts approaching her from behind. In the garage, while looking for more kerosene, Daniel witnesses Sarah and Eric and gets tears of joy. He embraces them after seeing both of them alive, but on the contrary, it was actually the witch that he was hugging. In the basement, while pouring kerosene on the witch's corpse, he suddenly gets stabbed by a possessed Ruth with the paper cutter. German, now hurt, slowly moves back, watching a bloodshot Ruth approach him. Furthermore, Daniel, also possessed, starts to pour kerosene on himself and lights the lighter. German then gets hold of the double-barrel gun, hits Ruth on the face, and shoots the witch, igniting her. Just then, the fly flies away, snapping her out. Daniel now throws away the lighter after getting back to his senses. Ruth now quickly escorts her father to the living room and takes care of him. Later on, after bandaging his wound, Ruth asks if the process worked, to which German says he hopes so and becomes glad Ruth is okay. Daniel now spends his time in Eric's room. Suddenly, he notices Eric's drawings on the wall and surprisingly realizes that each drawing resonated with the incidents that happened in real life. Daniel becomes even more shook up after seeing the last two drawings. Just then, he hears his son's voice again from the transceiver. It was then revealed that the witch has been controlling Daniel all along. Daniel now slowly revisits his past, back and forth. It was Daniel who killed his own son without him knowing. Meanwhile, Ruth, while looking for Daniel, slowly starts checking out the drawings scattered on the ground. Daniel, now sitting beside the pool, aims the gun to his throat and pulls the trigger while slowly showing the picture of a man drowning a child. Ruth gets startled by the sound of the gunfire and leaves, while surprisingly showing the last picture of a person shooting himself with a gun. She then runs to the swimming pool, only to witness a pool of blood, with Daniel floating. The camera then slowly pans upwards, concluding the movie. Thanks for watching. Make sure to like and comment if you enjoyed, and subscribe for more videos.